Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tottenham Touchline. And here we are after that glorious first game of the season. After all that build-up we had last week, all the excitement. Weren't the best. But joining us tonight, we've got the Irish Hotspur, Dave himself. Welcome. Say hello to everyone. Introduce yourself. Everyone probably knows you already, but you know what? Let's just do it anyway.
No, look, good afternoon or good evening, everybody. I'm Dave, the Irish Hotspur. Pleased to be here to talk all things Tottenham. Obviously it's not after a good result that we were all hoping and wishing for, but there's plenty to dissect. So thanks very much for having me, gents.
Well, thank you for coming on, mate. We really appreciate it. We got to start. We got to start where we start, don't we? We got to start with the debacle itself. Come on, Lubo. We didn't get the Lubo's agenda, Lubo's thoughts on the game at the weekend. I think we'll bring that segment back, hopefully for Charlton. But tell us, break it down. You were there in the glorious G-Tech.
I wasn't.
You didn't go? I thought you went.
No. I missed out.
Oh, lucky you.
I missed out by 20 loyalty points.
Oh, that's nothing.
I couldn't get a ticket. Johnny's son took his ticket. Otherwise, I might have been in there. But no, I watched it on telly. I was probably pleased by the final whistle that I didn't go. What did I think about it? I thought De Zerbi got it horribly wrong. Horribly wrong. Captaincy, I might like him as a player, but Archie Gray's no Tottenham captain at this stage of his career. He's not even a first 11 player. So I didn't understand why Robertson wasn't captain. You know, if you don't want to bring... I mean, he obviously didn't want to bring in a new player that had been brought in this summer, because for me, Robertson and Tonali were two natural captains that either or should have taken the armband. The team you picked was wrong. I would have played a back three. I would have played Danso in the middle because they're good at set pieces, and Danso's better in the air than both Van Hecke and Senesi. I wouldn't have played Bergvall in the 8 with Tonali. I would have played Gallagher. And in fact, to be honest with you, if Bentancur and Fernandes are only good for 45, then I'd have had I'd have probably started with Fernandes and switched at half time to try and get some control. I wouldn't have played Bergvall. I would have had. I mean, Gallagher's not a 10 either. Richarlison, just dreadful. I mean, you know, the ball hit his foot and just bounced away like a trampoline. There was so much wrong. They didn't look fit. Brentford were faster to every first ball. They picked up every second ball. It was embarrassing, to be honest. And, you know, had that penalty gone in and not at the post, then 4-0 probably would have been a fair result, I think. So just really poor from De Zerbi. Pre-season's been decimated really by injuries, players coming back at different times from the World Cup. She got players with different fitness levels at the moment. They've only just got their first forward through the door now. I believe there's number 2 should be through in the next couple of days with Marmouche. And we need one more. So we did well first part of the transfer window, went a bit quiet, and now they're coming back, picking up players. But we've got to pick up, you know, Maddison injured again. It was all very, very depressing. There really wasn't. I don't think there are any positives to take out of it. Fernandes came on, looked good. Senesi and Robertson had a better last 20 minutes, but the game had gone. And that's pretty much it for me. Not too much. I can't add too much more, to be honest.
Go on, Dave. What were your thoughts on that beautiful, lovely day in Brentford, mate, in Hounslow?
I think the image of the fan at the end summed it up, didn't it, when he just held out his hands like that. But look, I think there's... You could argue you could almost see it coming. I think there's things that maybe De Zerbi did get wrong, but I think there's also a number of things that are maybe a little bit outside of De Zerbi's control. Look, when it comes to the starting lineup, I do agree with Lubo. Archie Gray should never be captain of this football club, you know, especially when you look at some of the videos on Maddison's YouTube and you see Gray popping up and down windows, pulling faces and all. It just shows to me that he doesn't have the maturity right now to carry that armband. And although it's not ideal to bring in a new player, make him captain straight away. I think Robertson should have been captain. I'd also argue I think Kevin Danzo should have started ahead of either or Van Hecke. I don't think we should have went to a back three, but I think De Zerbi should realise what Brentford's strengths are, that they do physically bully a lot of teams. Like you look at Van Hecke, I think he won 2 out of 8 headers, in the entire game. So Nessie wasn't good in the air either. That's one of Danzo's main strengths, is in the air. So I think he would have been better off bringing in Kevin Danzo, but I don't think he trusted him after the mistake against Brighton towards the end of last season in possession. So, I can understand it to a certain degree. I think when you look at the midfield, I'm not going to give the likes of Borgwall an excuse. At the end of the day, one of the big things earlier on this summer is that he wants to play. So you're giving him an opportunity. What are you going to do with it? And he's done absolutely nothing like he's done with all the other opportunities given. You're talking about a player that's played nearly 8 senior appearances for Tottenham. And yeah, I'm still here trying to figure out what he's good at. And Gallagher was an absolute waste of space. And again, I'm not giving the excuse of him not being a number 10. We've seen at Palace, we've seen at Chelsea, and even West Brom. The guy can score and create goals. For some reason, it's happened at Tottenham. You could make the case, the move to Atletico Madrid sucked the confidence and life out of him, and he's trying to reestablish himself. But at the end of the day, like I know a lot of the popular opinion is, well, why didn't he start either Bentancur or Fernandes? The reality is Fernandes ruled himself out most of preseason due to fatigue. Bentancur has only played that last game, but coming into the season. So, and I don't even think 45 minutes was in the remit for them. I think De Zerbi just realised if he wasn't make a change in that midfield and bring these guys on, even though 45 minutes wasn't in the remit, that could have been 6, 7, 8-0 by the end of the game. I think Brentford played a blinder, to be brutally honest with you. I think they seen Archie Gray starting at right back, seen Mikey Moore at right wing, and Bergvall on the right-hand side of midfield. And they targeted it. For the first 10 minutes, they kept them putting long balls in behind Archie Gray and getting Shada to chase it down. And what they done then is gave themselves a foothold in the game, and from there squeezed Tottenham and used their physicality to push us back, and we couldn't get near them. But I think the biggest part of the problem at Tottenham, and I think this is where De Zerbi is most frustrated, is we barely create chances and can't score goals. And if you don't have that ability to be able to retain the ball across the front line, put pressure on a team and pin them back, that's the reason why we're conceding 25 goals or 25 shots on our goal. Everyone thought it was just an Ange Postecoglou problem or a flank problem. Well, it's still happening now under De Zerbi. So it's not just the back line, which everyone has been highly focused on. That front line is a huge part of the problem. De Zerbi sort of alluded it today in his pre-match press conference. He needs his number 10 to hold up a ball. Richarlison and Solanke can't do it. Mikey Moore was guilty of missing a few opportunities, but apart from that, didn't really contribute. And because Matisse Tellers are only attacking outlet, everyone knows double up on Matisse Tell and you nullify him. And then that way, it just means you're defending for the 90 minutes. And that's essentially what ended up happening for the first half anyway. And that's where it all went up. But I'm not going to sit here and blame De Zerbi. Pre-season has been an absolute shambles. We only went out to New Zealand and Australia because of AIA, the sponsorship was sort of trying to push us out there. Again, looking for commercial value over what's actually this football team. It's clear De Zerbi didn't want to go on the tour. The way we organised back-to-back friendlies against Hoffenheim in 2 games in 1 day, 70 minutes against Getafe, pre-season has been an absolute shambles. And you've seen that, going into the game. You look at Brentford, they had hunger, desire, they had passion, but not only that, they had the fitness levels and the physicality, and they were ready for game 1. We weren't. We were so far off it in terms of fitness, in terms of physicality. And that's where your issues are. Roy Keane once said, if you fail to prepare to fail. And that's exactly what happened on the day.
Christian, mate, I can't disagree with a lot of what Dave said there, mate.
No,
but,
I think it's spot on, to be honest with you. But it's spot on. I can't speak on my true opinions for this because I made a promise I was going to give certain players the whole season, didn't I, guys?
You did.
I did, so I'm going to try and do it without mentioning them. Listen, ultimately what I didn't make a promise on, who I will speak on, is Richie. Richie is not a football player. As simple as that. Like, his fundamentals of football are just not there. Like, his hold-up play, he doesn't even know how to get his body in between the ball and the strike and the defender. Like, simple striker number 9 fundamentals. The guy just eats grass. Like, I don't know if he's trying to win fouls, what he's doing, but he's just laying on the floor. And for me, that is so embarrassing. And as much as I want to criticise the defence and in elements midfield, like when the ball is constantly just coming back at you and you cannot breathe, you are going to make mistakes. Whether you like it or not, you're going to get caught out. Like let's not forget that one of their whole goals, right, came from 2 of our mistakes. 1 goal and 2 mistakes in the same passage of play. Richie can't hold it up. Bergvall, instead of just trying to put his foot through it and give us a bit of freedom, has tried to sidestep the player. Like we saw in pre-season, he done it really well. Everyone was hyping it up. But no, that exact thing that he got right in pre-season is what's going to put him in danger over again. And he's done it for that play, and it's not worked out. You got to give the team some breathing space. I would have hated to be in that back 4, and I won't blame any of them, because the pressure was just non-stop. And again, the tracking back, the helping wasn't there. Lewis Potter, what's he doing in the centre on the penalty spot, unmarked? Like, you can't blame the midfield because he is a left back, right? If the forward is not going to follow, you need to scream, right, I'll cover whoever's holding that right wing. So someone like Archie Gray can tuck inside and pick up that extra man they've put in the middle. And it was just so embarrassing. But with that being said, like, it's the first game of the season. You can clearly see that a lot of it was fitness levels, and maybe 3 of them are going to be in the starting lineup. 3 or 4 of those players are starting lineup. That's the thing we got to look forward to. Fernandez come on. Yes, his fitness wasn't there, but when he did get on the ball a couple of times, you could see that quality. You could see when him and Tonali played together, there was a little bit more about him. Yes, the game has been gone, and you could argue that, but the quality you could see a bit better. So for me, I'm not too worried. I'm hoping that Mamouche does come in. I'm hoping, well, Savinho's definitely come in. I'm hoping, and the biggest problem that we've got, just like Dave said, is that ball retention up top. Like even if we're not breaking away and counter attack, give the midfield a bit of breathing space to come and help you. Just hold the ball, take 2 touches, let the defense step up, relieve that pressure. You're giving the other team something to think about. There's no movement. What Richie shows for it, can't hold it up, but then he doesn't do what other strikers do. Like if we got like a Nicholas Jackson where he says, right, I'm losing every duel this way. Let me try and stretch the play by making that defender think I'm going to run in behind him. Just, even if you're going to be offside, just make that run. The defender's going to have to track you. That's a bit more space for Gallagher to play. That forward line does not help anyone. And as much as Gallagher was pathetic, as much as Tonali, yes, struggled. Same with Bergvall. Tonali was he was bad because he had nothing around him. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Like he didn't really put many passes wrong. He just had no options. He couldn't fight for a whole team. The defense, yes, Van Heck could have done better. Yes, Senesi could have done better. But mate, they must have been gassing. Constantly trying to deal with overloads, dealing with the ball coming straight back at them. Like, I just can't stress enough how much this forward line needs to change, and everything else we'll start to see a bit more quality when players have got time to breathe. Like, it's such a stupid part of the game, and this is where the Premier League mentality needs to change, because Man United under Ferguson did it. Chelsea under their league winning managers did it. Arsenal are doing it under Arteta. You can call it boring as much as you want, but they know how to kill momentum. We went 1-0 down quite early up. All you need to do is keep going sideways, give them 5-10 minutes of fighting for the ball, and you'll see how the momentum shifts. No, we keep trying to play the high aggressive. We don't know how to get on the ball. We let them win any duels, and they just got full of confidence. And that's my issue at the minute. It's just we play into people's hands. We don't know how to be professional. Our game IQ's not there. But with that being said, Fernandez and Tonali going forward, international break coming to give us quite a few weeks of working with them. Let's see. I'm not getting too down on the game, but the game was embarrassing. It really was, Ferg. How do you see it, mate?
I thought that the Richarlison was pathetic. Like, it was one of the most god awful displays I've seen from a striker in many moons. I mean, he couldn't control the ball. He couldn't keep the ball. For the second goal, the ball's played into him. He just got bullied, easily bullied. Like, they must have thought, what an easy game we've got here. We can just let him try and take it into feet and then physically bully him. And he played right into their hands. He hasn't got the pace. I mean, when he played for Everton, he had a turn of pace. It's gone. It's long gone. They ate him up the whole game. He just couldn't get past them. And he's not a clever enough footballer to, take it into his feet, flick the ball out wide. He can't flick it on for someone else. He's not. And there's this idea that he's good in the air. He's not good in the air. He doesn't win aerial duels against defenders. He's good if there's a cross with no one in front of him. But if it's an aerial duel against a big defender, he loses it every time. So I think that the indictment now is mainly on the club just not getting the striker in time. I can't be too upset with the fact we lost. One, I do think the tour, and I've put the poll up, it's not that we went there. It's just we had a World Cup. We had a massive long-haul flight to do at the start of the season. We had to go out to New Zealand. It was like a 30-hour flight. Then we have to go to Australia. Then we come back. De Zerbi didn't look happy about the whole thing. Play a bunch of other friendlies. What did Brentford do? They went to Portugal and they played 2 friendlies only. And they have a settled team who've played together. They only brought in, 1 or 2 players. We have brought in quite a lot of players. On the weekend, we had 3 debuts in defence and a central midfielder playing as right back. It's not surprising the defence didn't look great. They'd never played together before. Bergvall was as bad as Richarlison. He was terrible. Absolutely abysmal performance. I don't know. After the first time he got caught in possession trying to do a slalom in his own half, you'd think, I'm not going to do that again. But he did it again and it cost us a second goal. So, again, it's like, all right, I'm not going to kill him. He's a young kid. I'm more disappointed in the 29-year-old striker that has been stinking it out for 5 years for us. But again, he's got to learn from his mistakes, or he was the one agitating for a move. Well, goodbye if you're going to continue to be like this, from my point of view.
Let me ask you a quick question on that.
Yeah.
Just before I forget. And guys, Dave, Lubo, please come in and agree.
And can the chat give us your views on the tour,
course,
whether you think it was a mistake or not? 1 for yes, 2 for no.
And also answer my question as well, guys. Interact. Yes. With Bergvall, right? He's a kid and we don't want to crucify him. I get that. But he's played, 80-odd games now? And I don't want to call it ego, right? But it is a little bit egotistic, right? Is he going to suffer? And ultimately, look, we're going to have to move him on, I think. Do you think he's ego and he's unwilling to learn because he thinks he's better than anyone and he can pull it off? Or do you think it's been a lack of coaching why he keeps making that stupid same mistakes of trying to beat 2-3 man and dribbling it out?
Do you know what with Bergvall? Like the mistake we've seen him made against Brentford, they happened under Ange. They were happening under Frank. Losing the ball deep just outside of our own box, being turned over and putting goals. I remember there was a defeat we ended up suffering to Newcastle. And the first goal started with Bergvall, being turned over on the edge of our box. It happened against Wolves at the end of one season as well. Like this is a continuous thing in his game. He is not learning over the course of the 2-3 years that he has been here. The same frailties are still in his game. As much as I don't rate Frank, one thing I did agree with Frank, that one he said on Bergvall last year, is there's no discipline with him in that position. He doesn't understand it. He's just like a Duracell, but he's sprinting around everywhere, but he's never actually showing, or giving people options and stuff like that. And honestly, I think we should have took the 50 million that was on offer for Bergvall earlier on in the preseason. I think this is a big problem at Tottenham Hotspur. We don't really know when to move on players sometimes. And look, you could make the argument, that, because we've been so unsettled, that, he hasn't been worked on. His game hasn't really been worked on in terms of coaching or management and stuff like that. But you shouldn't always rely on that as a youngster. Sometimes it's on you to realize these things and go and work on it and be the smartest guy in the room. And sometimes I question it just coming down to brain cells. A lot of these modern day footballers don't seem to have any
Well,
thoughts.
Dave, he's the one who's agitated to play as a number 8 because De Zerbi said it in his press conference a couple of weeks ago. He's agitated to play in the number 8, right? And that's his attempt to play in the 2 with Tonali. And he's kind of fluffed the audition, like in my view. He really has bodged the audition.
Fluffed it. That's being nice for.
Well, I don't want to go too far, but he fluffed it. He had a very poor game. For me, I'm with you. He shouldn't be playing in the 8 because he's not ready for it. He needs to suck it up and play in the 10 until we can get a competent 10 and get minutes where he can as a sub. But I don't know, the whole fact that he was agitating to go to Villa or wherever else, Forest, again, it just makes me think maybe he's got an ego up here potentially. I don't know, but it just seems very strange.
I think the fact he was agitating for the move maybe alluded to he didn't believe he was going to get in ahead of a Bentancur, Fernandes, or Tonali. And if you don't have that self-belief, then you're not going to do it, are you? And I just think with Bergvall, I think I look at him very similar to Yves Bissouma. And I remember Conte came out and said about Yves Bissouma, the reason why he doesn't play is because he doesn't understand tactics. And I think it's the very same with Lucas Bergvall. Sometimes there's players that don't care about tactics, just let them go and be free. But they have to be exceptional players that are going to change the game for you. Bergvall's not that guy. So unless he learns the tactical side of the game, he's always going to be caught out.
And I think it's quite a telling thing where for the national team, in a defensive possession manager under Potter, he found his way onto the bench very quickly. And the guy from Brighton took over, Ayari or Asari.
Yeah.
So it's not just a Tottenham thing; it's international. And then this is where I totally agree with Dave. Is I don't think it's a coaching thing. I just don't think he has any self-awareness. I think he's modelling himself too much on the likes of Frankie de Jong, where even Frankie has struggled and not hit the heights that he should have done because he went to Barcelona, who want to move the ball, and Barcelona fans are split. Some really rate him and some don't. That if you want to play in that deep role,
he gets called lightweight there all the time.
You can't. I'm sorry, this dribbling thing, get it out of your game. All the best players in the world have been good passers. They know how to sniff out trouble. They get their body in the way. There's a reason why people would say Claude Makelele, Rodri, Sergio Busquets, they weren't dribblers. Because
I just question
that position is so.
It's also about knowing what part of the pitch you're in and where you can get away with it. Because if you're in a part of the pitch where you've got loads of players to filter back and protect you, it's not so much of a problem. But when you're doing it just outside or just beyond your box in a killer position, then you're inviting massive pressure, and that's exactly what he did for the second goal.
That's lack of football intelligence. What's a shame with Bergvall is he's not put his game together, because you look at the players that we had. I'm not even going back to the 70s and 80s, but you go back to the 90s when you had players like Ginola. You had players with flair, players that would get you off your seat. And there's nobody really playing football today in the Premier League that gets you off your seat. It's all very functional, isn't it?
It's the death of the maverick, isn't it, Ian?
Yeah, it is. 95% of the time, football in the Premier League is two-touch. It's control and pass and then move off. And that's what it is. So you don't see... That's what I'm looking forward to seeing Savio, because he will take players on. And there aren't many players who take players on at the moment.
He does look more of a throwback, doesn't he, to a kind of like what we used to have on a winger, where it'd be like, you do stuff for the sake of it.
That's right.
I love that.
You're going to have two of them on the pitch on Saturday, because you've got Alanga as well.
Yeah. Kudus. If we get Kudus back, we can have two guys with that ability to just drive past people, and we have not had that for a very long time. Not to that level.
No.
Just on Bergvall though as well, quickly, I struggle to see what area of the game he excels in. He's not a destroyer like a Paulini yet. He's not a ball player like a Bentancur. So if I'm a coach or a manager, I struggle to know where to actually adapt his game, because usually with a player like that, you hone in on what they're good at, get them exceptional at that, and then you sort of try to improve them in other areas if you can. But with Bergvall, I would struggle, because it's like, what do you do with the kid? Like, you can't focus like on one area or the other with the guy.
So we'll ask Billy's question.
So
I'm-
very
I'm-
much for me with
go on.
Bergvall, just very quickly, Christian. But
Yeah,
he
cool.
drives with the ball, doesn't he? He carries and takes the ball up the pitch.
Yeah.
The problem is that when he gets up the pitch, invariably he loses it. And
That I think some of that I watched quite a lot of him, Lupo, when he was playing in Sweden. Well, the highlights. So I'm not going to lie and say I sat there and watched all of Djurgården, but we watched a load of his highlights, and there the quality of the opposition was so low. He had time. He could pick his pass, and the Premier League's just not like that. And he hasn't seemed to quite adjust his game quick enough to that side, because he from those games, Christian, we watched a load of the highlights together
Yeah,
with
we
Jacko.
did.
He could really pick a pass, but it seems to have just vanished.
Because he ain't
So
got
what
the
do you
time.
reckon that is, Lubo? Do you think it's the time, the quality of the players he's playing against?
I think the last 2 years have been a mess. I don't envy any of those players play. I mean, they've had 4 managers, different tactical setups and systems, players badly out of form, players left high and dry by the systems that were played. So, and you look at Pep brought Foden in, but he brought Foden in with 9 or 10 top professionals, top internationals at the time. Bergvall's been thrown into an absolute shit show. So, I do feel a bit sorry for him. And he had a decent first season, didn't he? Underage.
Yeah. He started slow and came on, didn't he, Lubo? Like the first few games.
His game's gone back last season. It has regressed. I know he had injuries. I know he had the concussion issue. But I don't know. It doesn't seem to be progressing. And that's, you see players come on and
Ian, can you adjust your mic up? Because the chat is saying they can't hear you very clearly, mate.
It is a small bit low.
Is the mic on your headset?
Yeah, hold on.
You just bring it a bit closer. You should be able to bend it a bit if it's a bendy one.
How's that? That's as high as it can go now.
Yeah, that's better.
That's better.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, sorry. Did you have more to say, Lubo?
No, that's it. His game seems to have gone back, and his performance on Saturday was horrible. I mean, you're talking about basic defending. Go to a player plays 1-2, you turn and go with him. And that missed tackle for the second goal when Richie lost the ball. I mean, it was like an air tackle.
Have you watched it back, Lubo?
I've seen it.
He didn't try and tackle. He hit it with his foot to try and shift it to then.
He did a slalom. He did a slalom little tackle.
Thing. He touched it with his right to move it on his left to try and beat him, and the players just
and lost it.
He's tried to beat a man even in that 50-50 scenario.
Christian, that was the second time he did the same trick, and he got caught out with the ball both times.
Mm-hmm.
I was so angry when I was watching that, because I can
furious.
forgive once. I can forgive once, but the second time it's like, what are you doing?
But the thing is,
doing the same thing.
There's multiple games you can pull out that Bergvall's played in where you actually see him do the same thing, and I think it's something that actually gets overlooked. When with the Spurs fans, when it comes to analysing Bergvall's game, there's a repeat history of this. I remember Brighton under Frank last year, actually, away from home. I remember he gave the ball away on the edge of our box and it was turned over. Now, it was a wonder strike by that Turkish fullback, but he lost the ball and was put in the back of our net. That's the danger and the risk you take. It's just a repeat thing with Bergvall. He's not improving on it. So, like I said, I think we should have took the 50 million. I don't understand why we're progressing with it. Like, we've had him in the midfield for the last 2 seasons. We finished 17th. He's clearly not good enough.
Yeah.
So here's a question, and sort of a question that I've come up with on the back of Billy's comment here. He agrees with saying we need to sell Bergvall. Goes on to say body language wasn't good in the last training session. We all agree we need to get Tonali and Fernandes playing more. Do you think now this might be forced on them because of the players' mentalities, right? What is it because of age? Is it talent? For me personally, I think we've made a mistake. I think we should be keeping Sarr and selling Bergvall. Yep. How do we see that? Have we made a mistake in choosing which one to sell?
Yeah.
I'd sell them both.
Me too.
I'm being honest. I'd sell them both.
I would.
I don't think either of them is it the technical player that De Zerbi probably desires for the role personally, because Sar's passing is suspect, very suspect. He's got great energy. He's a great athlete. Bergvall, I think he might become a really good player in time, but again, we got Tonali and we got Fernandes, and they're both better than him. And Fernandes is only like a year older than him. So I'd rather we try and find a profile more similar to them, so that when one of them breaks down or is unavailable or we need to rest, we can just bring it in and it's more even and we got a more consistent way of playing. But I mean, I don't think it's a mistake if you can get 90 million for the pair of them.
But here's the comeback.
Get 90 million.
Right? I agree with you. I would ultimately sell both, right? Mm-hmm. But what I'm trying to come from take myself out of a fan, and if I was in that sort of dealership and I'm trying to build a squad, is you've brought two new centre mids in. Realistically, would we want to be in a Man United place where they're having to bring 3 or 4 in and totally unsettle the team?
But remember, we got Bergvall.
We got Bergvall 50 million, kept Sar, brought one more in January, you then move on Sar.
But we still got Bentancur, so like I don't know, like how many central midfielders do we need when we can?
It would have been easier to do, Ferg, had we had 10s fit, because then you just move Gallagher back in the end.
Yeah.
And now you've got the 4. But I just think where you got Bentancur, who's not been fit, you've got Fernandes and Tonali to cover 2 positions. That's my issue there.
Personally, I would have brought back in Paulinho. Actually, this summer I would have brought him back in. I do agree with you, though. I would have rather keep Papamata Sarr over Bergvall. Like, a lot of the discussions around Bergvall, Gray, and Sarr. But if you actually look at Sarr, he's produced more in a Tottenham jersey than any of them have in midfield, than a Bergvall or a Gray. You look under Frank last year, all of pre-season, and I think the first 6-7 games of the season, Sarr was involved in nearly every goal Tottenham scored, and Frank took him out of the team for no reason whatsoever, and we've never seen him again since. But
Dave, couldn't we also bring in a right back and then use Gray as one of the cover midfielders, and then we can move both of them on, and then get 90 million and put that towards a great striker or another forward?
Look, personally, like I said, I'd move all 3 on. I don't rate Archie Gray at all either. I think he's another one that's had a lot of minutes in the Tottenham jersey. Now with him, he has, in fairness, I'll give him the excuse, he's played centre back, left back, right back. So, but in general, when they've played midfield, him and Bergvall, we've been ripped apart. Just with Papamata Sarr, he just offers a bit more going forward, I would argue, than the other 2. But personally, I would sell all 3 on, and I would have brought in Paulinho as the extra cover. He scored crucial goals last year. He's a destroyer in big games. Like, for instance, against Brentford yesterday, when you need someone to be streetwise and pull down attacks, just to get you reset behind the ball so you're not leaving gaps and exposing yourself. No one in the midfield could do that yesterday.
I'd far rather see Tonali playing with Paulinho than Bergvall personally at the moment, but like Paulinho, what he lacks with the technical ability, he makes up for with the dogfighting. He's a big dude. He's strong. He's good in the header, which we need. Our team isn't the tallest team. So you got him. He's 6'3". He's great in the air. He's a goal threat and good at defending. Like, again, for the fee that he was going to cost, I wouldn't. I advocated last season. I thought he was one of our players of the season, and I would have kept him. But
so, Ferg, I'm gonna, before we go on to the,
I got to say the chat is amazing tonight, and we've got so many questions we got to get through, Christian. So we will try.
We're getting there.
The thing we got to say is just to the chat. 1 second. Like, people are asking about the Newcastle game. David, we will come to the Newcastle question and your points, all right? And we will come to the Charlton questions, but let's deal with Brentford before we move on to the next week.
We're getting there, guys. We're going to try and do it in a chronological order, but we haven't got there. Tin Man, thank you so much for your super chat there. And we are going to go speaking about Mamouche, so I will bring it back there. So you've just mentioned the right back role, right? David here says, I'm very surprised that you sold Spence yet decided to give Ben Davies a new contract. Also,
He's spitting facts, mate.
I've got every time, because I'm not allowed to say his name when I need to say it, I've got a little button for that. So also is good enough to be your number one. I think Dubravka will be your main man soon. Guys, I've made a commitment. I'm not allowed to talk about him. So take it away, guys. What would your reply sort of be to David?
Well, I'll start. Evening, David. I'll start with Spence. He loved De Zerbi, but he was at a position in his career where he needed to play regular football. And Porro's just been given a 5-year contract. They've just brought in Robertson for left back. You can't blame the guy. You know, he's had a very good World Cup, had a fabulous game in the semi-final against Argentina, and he's come back and he's going to be sitting on the bench. So for me, as much as I wanted them to keep Spence until Porro was ready, because of the expense at right back on Saturday at Brentford would have made a difference, you can't blame him. You really can't blame him. And the problem is, I think he probably liked Italy previously, went out there, and Italy don't have the money in Serie A that they have in the Premier League. So we took a bit of a bath on the fee, but he's gone, and we got to move on, and hopefully they'll pick up a good right back in January.
I do agree with you. I think it was taken out of our hands, especially after Jed Spence's World Cup. I think, it's at the time of his career where he wants to go out and establish himself. But where I have problems with it is if you're going to move him on, what's the contingency plan? And our contingency plan was to use a centre midfielder as a right back. How many times have we seen it with Ben Davies, left back, centre back? It doesn't work. It does not work. Bringing specialist players for these positions. And ultimately, it's already cost us 3 points playing Archie Gray at right back. Like I said, it's not all on him. Mikey Moore never got back and helped him. Borgval never got across and helped him. But a player that's used to playing right back week in, week out, and that is Premier League ready, might have dealt with the situation a little bit better than what Archie Gray has. And that's where we let ourselves down massively. It's not selling the guy. It's not bringing in the replacement. And there's no surprise now. Before the Brentford game, we're telling Archie Gray is going to be the backup right back for the season. Then after the game, now all of a sudden we're being linked to Nico Williams.
I got to say, though, I'd take Nico Williams over Jed any day, mate. He can play left back and right back so well. But it's not going to happen. That's the problem. Yeah. Like we go to Forest. Can you imagine what Marinakis' attitude towards us is going to be?
We are doing a transfer with them again. Unless he sells that club, Tottenham and Forest will not be discussing anything. I can guarantee you that. That bridge has been burnt multiple times.
Right, is there anything else we want to cover in the Brentford game? Because I think we've been speaking for 40 minutes about.
We should move on, mate. I'm starting to struggle with not mentioning certain names.
It was bad. I think that if we want to do a quick clip, it was really bad. I'm glad it's done. Let's move on. Okay, so right, Savinho, the never-ending story ended. He isn't the new Leandro Damião. He is signed. He's sealed. He's delivered.
Look, you and Lubo are older than me, right?
Don't mention my age.
No, I didn't say your age, did I? I'm not going to say 60 or anything, mate. Is this the first transfer saga that's actually happened?
We've had a few.
João Moutinho didn't happen.
No. Didn't Vertonghen drag on?
I don't think he was 2-3 years.
Not like this. This was a year. This was a whole calendar year. That was this one.
There's never been. I can't remember one that's taken a year.
Oh, I mean, there's been ones that've been a year and then not happened. Then it went on and it went on and it went. Leandro Damião we were linked with him for about 2 years.
Yeah, but it never actually happened. No. I mean, Moutinho never happened. They're the two that stand out.
He's now a coach, so we could sign him finally.
In fairness, Ange won a Gallagher in his first summer, didn't he?
He did, and we got him. Did we get him like about a year after? So it's not that.
But it wasn't constant links, was there?
But the funny thing was, it was signed by another manager.
It was signed by that manager.
And actually, so was Savio. Savinho was Thomas Frank was linked under Thomas Frank. We signed him under De Zerbi.
But you know what, Ferg? If you do a poll of 20 Premier League managers, if you polled all 20 Premier League managers, and who are your favourite players, or what do you think of these players?
None of them
sure-
would pick Richarlison. None
I'm
of
s-
them.
No, I'm sure. Well, maybe Everton, maybe David Moyes, but
I doubt
but
it.
I'm sure there'd be a lot of players on a lot of managers' lists, wouldn't there? So
Yeah.
that's why that's why people were saying, oh, it's a club signing, Savinio, because they wanted him a year ago, and so did Robertson. But I think that's rubbish because two different managers are allowed to have the same opinion on a player.
I agree. And
That's right.
the way Zerbi come out and spoke to him today, you could tell he meant it. It wasn't a PR stunt. I totally agree with you, Luca.
Would it be fair to say that the club maybe have a list of their own targets, but also managers will come in with some of their own targets as well? Because we do operate the director of football system, and that is based off the director of football having, club targets for the club to go after, despite what the manager thinks of them.
Well, the interesting thing I would say is that De Zerbi said that he spoke to him to come to sign for him when he was at Brighton, and that he's always liked him and always kept up with him. So, I mean, admittedly, managers do bend the truth and say whatever else, but he doesn't strike me as a guy who is going to accept things he doesn't want, whereas a lot of other managers do. He's quite a feisty guy and has walked out on other jobs when they didn't give him what he wanted. So
I do get what you're saying, but I do feel like he's almost forced into using Graham Bergvall, because if you look at the end of last season, he took them out, all the youngsters out of the team completely, put the experienced players out there. He kept us up. We won games of football. Now, all of a sudden, there's this massive U-turn on Archie Gray. He's been put into the club, given the club captaincy, and he's in that group. All of a sudden, he wants to work with him. Same with Lucas Bergvall, but there was none of that energy when he came in last year. Just wonder. And I look at his demeanor across preseason. I look at his demeanor on the bench the other day as well. He looks very unhappy. And I just wonder, is there an element where he is being forced to work with certain individuals that maybe he doesn't want to?
Do you not think that you look at the players that played last season? Palhinha's gone. Bentancur came in late, and I think De Zerbi said that he only played him a sub because he's short of fitness. Porro wasn't playing, Van der Ven wasn't playing, so Porro, Gray came in for Porro. There's no right winger again. He played Spence there at the end of the season against Villa and Everton. Now Mikey Moore's there, so I think he's been left. Saturday, I think he was in certain positions. He was left with a fait accompli because he just didn't have the players. So. No other reason.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think he was stuck with what he had, and there wasn't really. It sounds like the new medical team are being very strict about how players are used, and I think that's a good thing after the debacle. Apparently, by the way, breaking Madison. It's 2 weeks he's out. David Ornstein, he's saying it's a minor fracture of his shoulder, and he's already training.
International break then. He'll be back after that, I reckon, because we haven't got much before the break, have we? But bringing it back to Savinio, we've been talking about it for weeks, guys. What are we looking to see from him? What are we excited about? What's he going to bring to the team?
I want to see him stretch teams. He can beat people for fun. He's great at dribbling. He can play on the right and the left. I think he gets into good positions, but his finishing has let him down at City. He can create chances for other people, and he can cause chaos. So maybe he doesn't directly assist the goal, but him beating a man and putting the ball across might deflect into someone's path, or someone else controls it and plays it on, and we can score a goal. So that's really what I'm looking for him, just to make us more unpredictable.
Fairly much. That says it all, doesn't it?
I'm a bit dubious about the signing. I question what problem he solves. I think our big problem is we have to try and replace at least 50% of the output that Kane and Son gave us, and we're absolutely failed in that massively. With Savinio, there's no doubt when you're looking at his stats off the likes of Opta and stuff that he creates havoc. He will create chances for you. But, we need players that can also score goals. Now, in fairness to De Zerbi, he highlighted that today, that world-class wingers bag you 10 to 15 goals, and that is an area where he's going to need to improve. But initially, I think many Spurs fans are excited just because we want to see something different. We want to see something new in the forward line. Everything has become pretty predictable and pretty stale. But he's going to need to start producing, because if not, fans will fall off that hype wagon very, very quickly. Because reality is, we need him to produce. Like when we brought in Simmons, there's huge fanfare around it. And I remember saying, new league, stuff like that, it's going to take this kid time to adapt and stuff. He's only 22. We're putting all this attacking burdens on such young shoulders. And I think we're sort of making the same mistake with Savinho, to a certain extent, where everyone's expecting him to come in and be the guy. He's only 22. You know, in the Premier League, he hasn't been that guy yet. So I'm a bit more cautious around the signing, although it will be nice to actually see someone down the right-hand side get on the ball, beat his man, and create a bit of havoc.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that he can go both sides, and I think we saw how good Kudus was for us when he first come in. We've now got that on both sides. If they wanted to do it that way, they can play one on Savinho on the left, Kudus on the right, and I think that's very important. I think our issue with Kudus and what Frank's issue was, it was so one-sided and so much weight put onto Kudus' side. Bringing Savinho in will bring that balance.
Do you not feel
Go on.
the fact you got two that can do that means that the other one has the chance to pick up the scraps on the end. So, like, for example, when Kudus was at West Ham in his best season, he got 20 GA, and they had a better team that season. And Moyes profiled the team to suit him more. But those two going wide, Savinho might get wide. It could even be that Robertson pulling up. They're worried about Savinho. They're worried about Robertson. The ball's delivered in. Kudus can pick up the scraps. Whereas last year we were just I got to say, he's the worst manager of my lifetime. Thomas Frank, awful. The only thing is we had one plan: give it to Kudus, let him run at them. Well, after 6 games, I figured it out. Yeah. But I think he's trying to make us more unpredictable. He was so good at Brighton to get the striker to drop into the deep space, to create a big gap for Mitoma to run into to score goals. And that was Mitoma's best form, was under De Zerbi. So I'm thinking he's going to do something like that with Savinho, something like that with Kudus. It'd be very interesting to see if we can get Marmoush done. So we will go to this question. Don't worry, Aussies, and big up for the super chat. But it'll be very interesting to see with Marmoush, if we got this fluid front three, where they end up, how many goals each, because I think his idea might be to try and spread the goals around rather than rely on like we used to with Son and Kane.
On that though, Ferg, I think, I've heard this a long time, even when we were selling Kane, and Ange was coming in, all the goals are going to be spread around. But, the goals were spread around last year. It wasn't nowhere near enough to, finish
just 7 each.
Exactly. But like your midfielder scored goals last year, your centre back scored goals last year, and it was even the same when Kane and Son were here. You still had the odd midfielder chipping in with goals. You still had fullbacks and centre backs chipping in with goals. But the reality is, if we're talking about wanting to compete up the top end of the table, you do need that striker, that's going to bag you 15 to 20 goals. And if you don't, like Arsenal don't, then find an avenue like set pieces where you can bag 20 goals a season off it. We lack that. So I do think we do need that real marksman up front.
I agree with you. What I'm saying is, like, if you could get Kudus to 10, which is doable because he did it at West Ham. You can get Savinho to 5. If you can get Marmoush on 15, if Solanke can come with 5 to 10, for example, right? And then we can, if we got a Gakpo, which I doubt we'll get, or we get someone similar to that, and we get another 10, there you've got your goal spread, and you've got it with a bunch of different players. And you can play Kudus in the 10 like he does for Ghana, and he can run at people through the middle, and then you've got another layer of unpredictability in the team. So I love the options they're trying to bring. I'm just worried that they're going to not all mess it up like they do.
Yeah. I don't think this can fail. Honestly, they might not bring us to the level that we want to be at, but I don't think they can fail.
Who reckons it's happening? I think we're going to sign Omar on loan. Lubo?
No, Omar's done. It's done.
It should be done in the next couple of days.
I won't worry about that one at all. I think Man City are just using us so they don't get absolutely destroyed for bringing players in. They've finally agreed with Alan Elias, so that's a replacement sorted.
Do you think they're going to wait on the medical though?
Which medical? Sorry, who's
For Alan, their new player, do you think they want him in? And because he's got to fly from Brazil, come and do the medical.
Yeah,
No.
I'm sure he's already on his way.
Yeah, it's a long flight though.
It's not that long. He'll be all right.
What do you reckon?
It does.
Do you think it's going to happen, Dave?
It does worry me that Romano announced it Sunday evening, and there's pictures of him in training the next day and stuff. And Romano's not as reliable as he used to be. Look at the Morgan Gibbs White saga last year and stuff like that. Gave the here we go and all that sort of stuff. So, but look, plenty of sources seem to say it's going to happen. So I'll put my faith in them and see where it lands.
I don't know if they were proper training pictures though, because the second picture in that thread was Tijani Reinders. Now he's already agreed to go to Saudi. So were they sort of them trolling? Because it's both players that are leaving. Also, why would they pick those two players? I really don't get it. But yeah, I think it gets done, guys. It's not one to worry about. I don't think Man City would have ever let it get this far. They wouldn't have even verbally agreed. I think they're just doing what they do, just trying to get their purchases in before they sign it off. So yeah, I don't think this is going to be like Morgan Gibbs White, because the Morgan Gibbs White one was a total farce. Also, they do not have a Marinakis in charge. They're a very professional setup over there. They won't get into that messiness.
And you think Rafi Mawson knows like everyone at the club, probably has a great relationship with him. He was there for a long time. So I think he's going to smooth over whatever sort of ire they had for the previous regime. I'm happy with the Savino chat. I don't know about you, Chris. Should we move on?
Just to sort of add on that. So Tim Man before with a super chat. Appreciate you so much again there, bro. So assuming we get Mamouche, we will get Mamouche. Be confident, guys. And we were to get one more in. So you're allowed one more, guys. What position would we prioritise on? Goalkeeper, right back, number 10 or striker? For me, it has to be a striker. And a old school big boy striker. Hold up the ball, can set it off. It allows us to, when needed, play Mamouche in the 10 role as a second striker, breaking through the lines. So I would probably go for a Mateta. That's sort of where I'm looking. Dave, what about you, mate?
I think if Marmouche does come in, I think that he might be our striker actually heading into the season. You might play him down the middle. Or Matisse Tal could even move up there, and Marmouche might go out onto the left-hand side as an option as well. But honestly, with Maddison's injury and his history of injuries at Tottenham, I think he's missed 78 competitive games due to injuries at Tottenham in his time that he's been here, which is nearly 2 whole seasons of the Premier League. I can't watch Conor Gallagher touch his hairband more than what he touches the football. It's embarrassing. So for me, I want a number 10 in, because, like, you look, I would love to see Kudus given the option, but again, he was supposed to be due back under De Zerbi last year, suffered another injury and stuff like that, and I just don't trust the availability of a lot of our players. But I definitely think we could look at bringing in a new number 10.
Do you have any names in mind?
Not at the minute, no.
Fair enough. Lubo, what would you go for priority wise?
Gibbs White.
We won't get him though out of Forest. There's no way Marinakis is out to us.
Have you got a hit squad to go in there and take him out?
Lubo's going to back up the Brinks truck and just unload the goal.
Berg Van and Saar, maybe. Plus, I don't know. Plus 20,
Richard,
plus
Richarlison.
Yeah, give him, chuck Richie in as well.
They've just signed the lap. Not happening.
Yeah, for a lot of money as well, like more than Chelsea paid for him. I'm going to go slightly different. I'm going to say I want a goal scoring winger, and then we can play about with Kudus playing as the 10. And be a bit different. I wouldn't mind Gakpo. Rafael Leao would be great. I don't know. I'm sure Guri, the guy,
very gettable.
Guri, the guy that he had at Marseille, the Algerian forward,
more of a striker, yeah.
Yeah, but he can do both. So, like someone who can play in a couple of positions. I I don't know. There's quite a bunch of people. I just want to say, big up Connor. We'll be seeing you on the show next week, mate. So big up to Connor. Obviously, my first choice was always Krupi Jr. So we can get him. I'll be over the moon. But he's broken his metatarsal, so he's probably out till January. So again, I don't mind waiting until January, which Pookie's shouting out here. But I think we do need another goal scoring winger. I do think we need a goal scoring winger. So, yeah.
With Pookie, you can't wait for January.
January might never come.
Krupi is a very good player. If they wait till January, they might not want to get him because it depends on how he recovers. So he's probably going to want to stay out more settled and get more game time, which then means the summer. I can guarantee you a lot of big clubs will be coming in for Groupie in the summer. And that fee's only going to go up. It makes it a lot more difficult. And
I think
this team should finish way above where we finished.
Yeah.
But can we wait as a football club?
No.
Are we in any position to wait?
No, because that could be the difference between us actually finishing in the top 6 or not, like massively. Right, let's go for a few more comments. So, Savino Thrive with us. Yep, I can see that happening, for example.
It's definitely not Moani, is it?
No. Oh, Moani, mate. Did you see the comments? Wow. The manager's already talking about signing a new striker. That's how pony that guy was. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I just hope we get Marmouche over the line as quick as possible. Right, let's do Madison's injured again. Who would bin him? Yes or no? So, Lubo, would you bin Madison?
Are we talking about this window?
Yeah.
You can't. He's out. He's injured now for another 4 weeks. So, I'd sell him at the end of the season.
Okay.
Because, next year, hopefully, you'll have Simmons will be fit and flying. Hopefully, Williams Barnett will be coming through in the 10.
You got Kulu, you got Kudos.
Yeah, Kulu, if he comes back, I can't see being the same player. That was one hell of an injury.
He's going to be Bell.
Well, let's see.
Oh, interestingly, Pedro Neto. Pedro Neto, he had the kneecap reconstruction as well.
Yeah, he did. Not quite as bad. I think Kulu's was more closer to R9's.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
R9 lost a bit of speed, but what a player he still was.
It's all about if you're clever enough.
I just think Kulusevski is the ultimate professional. So he will make sure everything's done rightly and get himself into a position where he strengthens that leg. He's the kind of guy, to me, that will follow every single step of physio. He's not going to be like some of us guys where we've broken an arm or something. Physio give you that little paper they give you in hospital, do these exercises. You might do it for the first day and then never do it again. I think Kulu's the...
That's what, Christian, that's why you got one big arm and one like little withered one, isn't it? Because you never followed the physio's instructions.
I've never broken my arms, mate. I broke my thumb.
Okay.
No, you're definitely right there. Guys in the chat, what would you prioritize? Let's have a quick.
Yeah, let's see.
We could do the same. Who would you get? What position? What player?
What were the options? I'll do a poll. It's easier. So.
Well, no, because you can't put the name players in there.
No, I can just say the position.
Well.
Oh, you want to name the player?
Yeah, I want them to name a player, put them properly in the hot spots. But looking forward, we've got Charlton now, haven't we?
Yep.
Right.
There's a question here for that one.
If this even has a whiff of going wrong tomorrow, the pressure gets up massively and the media will sort us. 100%.
Well, Gary Neville already had a pop at us ahead of his own team getting spanked by Hull and Aston Villa getting absolutely thumped, which I enjoyed thoroughly, by the way.
Can we come to an agreement, right, when we take people's comments from the media that they're respectable people I don't want to talk about Gabby Bonlahor and Gary Neville, I'll be honest. Them two, it's not even worth giving them the airtime. Like, Gary can say what he wants. He's, for someone who was an ultimate professional under Fergie, to come out and be the biggest, messiest guy, wants to do interviews mid-season with anyone that's causing some kind of drama just for his own gain, is embarrassing as an ex-player. So yeah,
Troy
can't
Deeney,
stand
Troy Deeney's comments you back.
Listen, if Troy Deeney ever tries to disrespect my legend Jermaine Defoe, I had to back Jermaine there. It's not happening. But yeah, let's talk about some reputable people, man. Like, they're just so frustrating. But no, Billy's 100% right. The media is going to flip this like crazy. But do we see any slip up against Charlton? I know they're a good squad. I've had a look at their team list. They gave West Ham a good battering. Dave, do you see potential banana skin here?
At this club, I think it's possible. We went out to Colchester. We went out to Middlesbrough. We went away to Ennismora, who were part-time factory workers, and lost. We went out and played Zagreb, and the manager was locked out from prison and still lost. So I think anything is certainly possible at this football club, and I'm definitely not taking it for granted. That's for sure.
100%. They got to go out there. Go on, Lubo.
Go on, tell us.
Penalties? I don't know. Who knows? Who knows with Tottenham?
Where's the optimism gone? We had a good show
I
last week.
thought Lubo's going to be like, yeah, we're going to batter him. But no, he's coming.
You got to fancy Spurs at home to a club in the division below. But they played 3 games, Charlton, this season. They've won the lot. I think they're second in behind Millwall, I think, in the league. It's not going to be easy. Not going to be easy. And I think he'll play a very strong team because he wants to get minutes in the legs. The team didn't look fit. They were slow. They were second to every ball on Saturday. So he'll play a strong team. He's already said he'll have Porro and Van de Ven on the bench, and it looks like he's going to start with Solanke. So Richarlison's played plenty of minutes pre-season and on Saturday. So I figure we'll play Solanke up front, probably with, I would think, Tell and Savino, but I think Mikey Moore will be involved tomorrow as well. So
I think what worries me going into tomorrow's game is quotes that's come out from De Zerbi today, and it's quotes I've heard from players leaving and the likes of Conte and Jose, was that the players and the personnel within the club need to change their mentality, and they need to learn to believe that they can win again and stuff, and that's where I'm concerned, because confidence, if your confidence is on the floor, it's where a lot of these slip-ups happen. If you're off at 10%, that's where these slip-ups happen.
Yeah.
And that's where I worry most, is the mentality of this squad and in and around the football club. Do they believe they can go out there and beat Charlton tomorrow? That's a huge concern of mine, because that's the hardest thing to change. We've had Conte in here who's changed other clubs' mentality, failed to do it at Tottenham. Same with Jose Mourinho, failed to do it at Tottenham. This is the biggest culture change that we need to make at this football club, and bigger and better managers have failed. And that's where I'm a little bit concerned heading into this game. That it almost seems like from the press conference, De Zerbi is sort of getting ahead of the excuses.
But Dave, on the question, I think you're right, don't get me wrong. But would you say that the previous ownership model was stopping these managers able to make a culture change? And De Zerbi has now probably got a bit more freedom because they have to allow him to do it? Or do you think they're still going to block the manager?
Look, I definitely think, the previous regime under Daniel Levy certainly, didn't help a lot of managers. And, at the end of the day, the club threw the manager on the buses, and we're masking our own problems by doing that. Have things changed in the Lewis family? I think they've changed in the transfer market. That's evident. But pre-season planning was still a shambles. It was more geared up for financial gain rather than, gearing the team up and getting them ready for the Premier League. So I don't think everything inside the club has changed. I think where we can really say if the Lewis family has changed, say if we finish top 4 this year and we need 1 or 2 players to kick on and go and challenge, and they provide that, then I think you can say they've changed. But right now, coming into this season, you had a lot of sponsorships willing to pull out of sponsoring Tottenham Hotspur, which is a massive financial loss for the football club. You're on the back of 2 back-to-back finishes. The fact that we're not in Europe and we can now spend, I think it's up to 80% of our income
85,
and stuff like that.
85, yeah.
85, and that will change the minute we get back into Europe again.
Yeah,
so I think there's a number of reasons why the club have actually spent the money this summer, and it's not all down to a change in mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
No,
I think they were frightened into it, weren't they, Lubo? That was such a scare they got last season that they.
Yes, it was. That's why I'm surprised Lang's still there. And Vinay oversaw it as well. You're looking if we'd have lost that last game with Everton, or if Emery hadn't have picked a Wheaton team and Villa would have beaten us that day, we'd be down. So and their asset would have dropped by 50% at least, which is massive. So why Lang and Vinay are still there, I don't know. For me, the big work has got to be at the top. I think it's the macro part of the club that needs to be structured properly. Without that, we're not going to sustain any sort of challenges on a long-term basis. They've got to get people on the board who understand football. I've said this on many shows over the last couple of months. You've got a board who are not experts at football that oversee a business, a company that's probably worth around 3 billion. Now that's unheard of. You've got to have experts on your board. Then you've got to get a top director of football. You've got to get a top CEO, a CEO that understands the club. Any CEO that comes in, you've got to understand the business that you're in, and the culture. And this is a CEO that turned around to the trust and said, when they asked him why we didn't build a museum, he said it wasn't cost effective. Now, that's someone that puts, again, money before history and tradition. And sometimes you've got to blend the two. And this was one of them. And that's really poor on he's not learnt what Tottenham's about. And for a CEO to be that intransigent and that ignorance, and it is ignorance, he should understand the company he's working for and the club he's working for. And he clearly doesn't, which for me makes him not unfit for purpose completely, because you can't give your best overall as a CEO if you don't understand what the company's about. So we get a new CEO, we get a new director of football, we get football people on the board. You look at how successful Bayern Munich have been with people like Rummenigge and Hoeneß there, and Ajax with the Overmars of this world. And what are we doing? What do we got? We've got...
And they were very ruthless when they brought the wrong guys in. When Oli Khan and them weren't working, they ousted them quickly.
That's right. So,
but see, because we're not making them changes, though, Lubo, I think what part of the Lewis family's plan is hopefully spend the money this summer, drag the club dramatically up the league, and look to sell at a higher value next summer. Because like a lot of it around the rumours around the bids was they weren't high enough, and if you finish, say, inside the top 4, the value of your club is going to rise. And I think that's what they're looking to do personally.
Well, Dave, don't you think that, did you read the report that they had on the Levy shares takeover yesterday? It sounded like, wow, like they were basically buying it off ages. They were going to pay him interest. It sounded like they didn't have the money in the first place, and that was the people that was allegedly the most credible trying to take over the club. So I don't even know if they were credible in the first place. So yeah, I think you're both right. I think the club needs to be in a much better situation for them to get the coin they want. But we use that as our segue, and like we've talked about Charlton, let's go into Newcastle. Obviously, they're a team in transition, as we are. They've got the new manager that's not used to the Premier League. They got a pretty good result against Liverpool, 2-2 draw. What are we thinking? Where do you see that game going? Obviously, we've got a Newcastle fan was in the chat before, and he reckons they've just signed Nico Gonzalez, which I'm slightly gutted about because he's a La Coruña boy. Go on, it's a drink now, Christian.
Have a drink, guys.
Yeah, Deportivo. What do you lads feel is really? Yeah. What's the final league position? Is a question he's got, and the other question that he had was he reckons they're going to set up to counter us, attack us at speed. Is everyone slightly worried that that's going to be our Achilles? Because I'm slightly worried if we don't have Mickey and Pedro in there, I think they might get us.
I think my issue with that, and I can sort of agree, right? You bring in Nico Gonzalez, which I don't think they need. I didn't think they need that. I'll be honest with you. They need
when they've lost
they
two
need
central midfielders.
No, they needed midfielders. I don't think they needed a combative six. Honestly, I think Joelinton is more than capable of that. I think they needed someone more of a Bruno G and Tonali where they can progress the ball, they can move the ball quickly for them. And I think, is it Murphy they've got?
Murphy's a winger, yeah.
Willock, or is it Willock that's playing?
Yeah, but Willock's going apparently.
Oh, so if Willock's going as well, I don't know. Like, I just think if they want to counter attack us, which is a very good idea, and they definitely have the forwards to do it, I don't know who's going to be able to do that for them.
Alanga is their guy they're going for, isn't it?
No, of course. But who's going to produce in the balls? I don't think Nico Gonzalez is that guy. I'm pretty sure, and listen, I might be mistaken because I'm only going off highlights.
Nico's a good footballer, man.
He's a good footballer, but it's more short passes, helping beat the press. I don't think he's going to be going over the top to Alanga.
I think he will surprise people under the right manager. I think he's a much better footballer than he's shown at City. He's always been a bit part guy trying to be the B player. Like Paratici loved him. He wanted him at Spurs. We were after him when he was at Barcelona. He come through La Masia. He's a good player, man.
He's a good player. I just don't know if that game is the counter attack.
Also, for his first match, which it will be, if he's going to hit the ground run, I don't know. But I think he's going to surprise people there. I think he'll do well. Genuinely.
Newcastle is still a hard team to play.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's going to be a very difficult game. I think if they win, it will be higher, intense pressure. I don't think it'll be necessarily counter attack, to be honest with you. I think they'll look to keep the ball in the midfield and at the back, win it as high up, and thread the ball in through for Alanga and stuff, trying to turn our defenders backwards. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a tough game. Are we away?
Home.
No, we're home.
We're at home. That changes the whole thing. Scrap that. We can win that game with our players. That is not that stadium.
Lubo,
Yeah, go on.
you tell us your thoughts on the game, mate.
Again, difficult with Charlton to play tomorrow. It's hard because you don't know how tomorrow's game will go, who will play, who will come in. It's harder. You would think that he'd bring Porro back in Saturday. You'd think he'll bring Van der Ven in as well because the centre backs need pace. I think he'll play Udogie because Udogie is much quicker than Andy Robertson. And last time Alanga played Robertson, he killed him on that wing. So I think he'll have Porro and Udogie as his fullbacks. And I think he'll play. Not sure who with Van der Ven, but one of those two with Mickey, Tonali, Fernandez, the 10. I'd probably guess at Gallagher, and up front you would probably see Savinho and Tell with Mamouche in the middle, or possibly Mamouche wide and Solanke in the middle.
Depends if we get the deal done in time, yeah.
Yeah. But
Do you reckon Porro will start at the weekend?
Yeah, I think Porro's shoe-in to start. If he's on the bench tomorrow, I think he's no option but to bring him back in after that right-hand side was atrocious against Brentford. So I think he's no option but to bring him in. But ultimately, look, I think Newcastle are there for the taking. You know, I think, they got off to a good start against Liverpool, but, somewhere along the lines, they're going to feel the effects of losing a Tonali and a Guimaraes from that midfield. And I'm just hoping, if we can get Savinho and Marmouche, especially Marmouche across the line before we go and play Newcastle, I think he gives us every chance of turning them around. It really depends on whether we can get Marmoush in or not. Because I don't think Savinho on his own is going to be the answer, because he can put as many crosses as he wants in the box. If Solanke or Richarlison aren't there to finish them, then that's going to be a problem. But I definitely think we can have a go at Newcastle. So first home game of the season with the Premier League, the fans will certainly be up for it, and you're hoping that can sort of feed itself into the team and the manager.
Yeah. I can see us getting a win. I can also see it being a stinky draw. I think Newcastle might make it quite down and dirty to play against them, just because they're a team in flux like we are. A lot depends on who we can get in. If we can have a Marmoush available for the weekend, how many days Savinho's had on the training pitch, how we did against Charlton. But yeah, I agree with all of you basically. I think it's going to be Porro, Van der Ven, I think Van Hecke. I could see a Doggy coming in. I could see also Robertson playing. I can definitely see Savinho starting on the right or the left. We've got so many options now, which we haven't really had for quite a long time. So I'm going to be really optimistic, just because it's the beginning of the season, and this is when we can be optimistic before Tottenham grind us down into a nub. I think we'll win 2-1. And now we're going on to the last segment, and it's over to Dave. So, Christian, put him on the Jumbotron.
Oh, yes.
Dave, you've got to give the team talk for us against Newcastle.
Put me on a big screen like this, first of all. I think people are asking to take me down. I'm that ugly. But look, if I'm De Zerbi, I'm walking into that dressing room. I'm telling the players to start believing in yourself. That we can win these games. Stop walking around doom and gloom. Show some passion, show some fight, and most importantly, look after each other on that pitch. Go and protect each other, run for each other. At the end of the day, you make great sacrifices in terms of giving up family time, especially over Christmas and stuff like that normal people don't have to do. And at the end of the season, you want to make that sacrifice worth it, and you want to have something to show for it and something in your hands. And it starts today. You can't keep going into these games with lack of mentality, lack of belief. At some point, it's only us that can turn it around. You 11 going out there today, you're responsible for turning it around. Go out there and get the job done.
There you go. Come on, lads.
It's one of the best ones, yeah, isn't it?
It is definitely one of the best ones. And look at that for a comment from another guy who did an amazing team talk. Dave Harris saying, "This is Gwyneth Paltrow at the Oscars."
Let's see you, Davey.
Well, you know what? There we go. That's another show in the bank. Big up, Dave, for coming on. I really appreciate it. It's been really fun having you on, and I love your takes. And have you got anything you want to promote, mate?
No, I just want to say thank you very much for having me on, guys. And if you want me on again, just let me know. And
100%,
if I can make it work, I certainly will. And I don't know what you do around match day. Do you do watch-alongs or anything like that?
We don't. Not yet.
So if there's anyone that's fans of Touchline Tottenham and you want match day build-up, come and see me tomorrow mid-afternoon, and I'll be live all evening.
Go hit
everyone
like
hit
and
him
subscribe over there, please. I've tuned in a few times. Really good over there. I enjoy it. But yeah, Ferg.
I got to say, big up, Dave. I love a guy who's not scared of an opinion. You're definitely not, mate. So that's what we love on this show. We're the same. We're all the same. We've all got an opinion. Obviously, my Richarlison agenda is well known. So also my Deportivo drinking game that Christian created is also very well known.
That's number 2, guys.
That's number 2, mate. Have a sip. But yeah, I just want to big up everyone in the chat. It's been a nice show tonight. Can you please like, hype, and subscribe? We got that now, Evo. And yeah, it's just great fun. I'm really scared for tomorrow's game because I just don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching tonight. Big up, Lubo. What's your thoughts, mate? Say goodbye to everyone.
Yes.
Promote any shows of the 9,000 you're on.
No. This is my main show, and here's to a good win tomorrow. Thanks for everyone for listening and commenting.
Christian, see us out, mate.
See us out, guys. Games tomorrow, must win game. Get get that momentum going to Newcastle, look to win again. Hopefully the guys can put on a performance like you guys have put in chat. Absolutely excellent again today. And last but not least, as always, through thick and thin, come on you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Guys, like, hype, and subscribe. Good night.